All right, everybody, what's going on? Welcome to TCP episode 55, back with another trader for you guys. Very excited to get things rolling. Hope everybody had an awesome Thanksgiving. Noah, what's going on, man?
Alejandro, how are you doing? Likewise, I hope everybody had a fantastic Thanksgiving and holiday. Back with the interviews, we have a great trader on today, and I think that you guys are going to get a ton of value out of his story. So excited to get into it today.
Yeah, let's dive into this. So Keanu Trades, who we're about to bring on, has really recently sort of popped onto the scene here. I've seen him on FinTwit for quite a while, but he's now gaining a bit more traction as he's been working alongside some of the other bigger names on FinTwit. And so we'll get into his story. But basically the reason we wanted to have him on is because of the success that he's been having. And he's very transparent about his growth, account growth, his trading strategies. And for that reason, we simply wanted to sit down and talk with him. Without further ado, Keanu, what's going on, man?
What up, baby? How's it going?
How you doing, brother?
I'm good, man. I've been listening to some of your episodes recently. You guys are a good team, man. One hat's forward, one hat's backwards. You guys have a good mix.
I appreciate it. Yeah, man. As I was saying, excited to have you on. I mean, you've been killing it. I think that everybody has really started to notice some of the things that you're doing. But let's start by asking you about your trading story, your trading background. How'd you get into trading to begin with? How'd you get into the stock market?
My dad's a CPA, and he worked for different companies. He worked for a company called Allflex in Long Beach, which does flexible conduit. Eventually, so we live in Riverside, California, and he bought a house in 1991 and was commuting to Long Beach. He was making $42,000 at the time. The interest rate was 9.5%. So times have definitely changed since then. But he was always in the stock market, just buying companies he believed in, Warren Buffett style. He hated Apple forever. So our family, I'm not going to say we hated Apple, but it's funny because he sold a house one time and his financial advisor was like, trust me, Apple. This is like in 2000 maybe. And he had $20K from the house that it's equity. So him and my mom split money, and he was like, I don't want Apple in my Roth. So it's in her Roth since like 2000, and it exploded. But the point of that story is, I always knew he was like, I go to Home Depot all the time. I'm buying Home Depot stock and stuff like that. So eventually I would look at companies, I'd go on CNBC and CNN, Money, Yahoo Money, and buy companies. And I bought SPCE in December of 19 because I read an article about Richard Branson. It was at like 980, 960. I was like, let me throw $500 in. And it went to like 30 something. So I cashed out at 30. I was like, dude, if this gets to 30, I'm cashing out. So I did. So 500 went to 1,500 or so. And I started reading up. I read about Mark Cuban, who I've always been a fan of. I'm a big basketball fan. I met Kobe when he was alive and all that. So Mark Cuban, as I was reading, it said, how did he stay rich through the .com bubble? And he said, I'm not greedy. And I was like, what does that mean, And so he protected his fortune. He got Yahoo shares. He got like $4 billion worth of Yahoo shares, and he couldn't sell them for 3 years. So he sold calls, 144,000 calls, sold them. And he got a bunch of premium from that. So now he has cash and those shares that he can't sell. And then he bought puts with that premium, right? He generated some cash, let's say 200 grand. I have no idea. He bought 144,000 puts. So he had a strangle on his Yahoo position, which he couldn't sell. Well, Yahoo went to $2. It's delisted now. He walked with more money than he would have walked with if he didn't get those puts. So I'm reading this. I'm like, what the hell is a put? What the hell is a call? I did some math, realized I could have done more than the 3x on my SPCE shares if I did some options. And they were cheap at the time, right? Less than $10, right? So if I did $15 calls, whatever. I was like, I could have hedged it, right? I got out at 30, went back down to 15, whatever. So I'm like, how could I be a mini Mark Cuban? I guess that kind of got to me. Yes, and I stayed up all night researching this stuff. COVID came in March. I'm a teacher. And that same December I was telling you guys about, when I bought SPC, I bought a guitar from Costco because I have a secret. If you go to Costco like December 23rd or whatever, the toys are all like half off because they want them off of their shelves, right? So I'm looking at this Fender guitar and I'm like, I like that guitar. I don't play guitar, but I would love to strum around a little bit, learn. Don't have the time. And then it went from 150 to $100. I was like, I'll buy it for $100. Come on now. And so I did. COVID came around and I was like, oh, I can't wait to learn guitar. I got all this free time, But I had all the Mark Cuban stuff in the back of my mind and all that. And so Keanu Trades ended up happening and the guitar is dusty in my closet. So that's my story.
Mark
Yeah, man,
Cuban's
Mark Cuban is the man.
I think
Dude, it's great.
everybody's a little bit inspired by Mark Cuban. Anybody in business, anybody in the market. I love listening
Absolutely.
to him all the time.
Dude, that time, like 2019, 2020, when like SPCE was running, you had some other names like what was the sympathy off of SPC? Like some of the other space expansion companies, like I know Chamath had also done a SPAC at the same time.
Mm-hmm. I didn't even know who that was at the time, but yeah, I learned who that was, kind of getting into it.
That's like you had all the SPACs going crazy and like all the pennies going crazy. I feel like that was like peak like stock market hype for like the retail trader when things were just absolutely going nuts. And really like those, I feel like that is where, and we talked about this on one of the pods before, is like that's where a lot of the newer traders, or at least this last like recent wave came in, because it was like people were seeing things that everybody who had been in the space for a long time was like, oh, these things don't happen. You don't see SPC go from 5 to 50. You don't see RKT like squeeze 500%. Like, I feel like that's a time where you had so many people like their eyes just got open to like what can really happen in the stock market. Whether you were a trader for a long time before that, or whether you were sort of just getting started, you were seeing things that were so unusual that it was like, I think for a lot of people, it became okay. Like, I need to be here because this is ridiculous. There's so much opportunity and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I showed my coworker. I go, hey, I bought this. I read this article. He's like, okay, who cares? I put in, like I said, 500, nothing that'll kill me. And I came back from Christmas break. I was like, ran to show him my phone. I was like, dude, check this out. I'm at $1,200, whatever it was. He's all, what are you on? I was like, I'm on Robinhood. So yeah, that was the start, man. And I was trading I was on FinTwit on my personal account. And then I started to see the aliases and I was like, took about a year to come up with one. And then I was thinking about, should I do like Jeff Goldblum, Pitbull? They have all these funny gifs.
Pitbull would have been great.
Oh, Pitbull, dude. So I had tickets to a Pitbull show. Oh God, I don't even know where it was, but it was outdoor. And he couldn't fly out of Miami because of the storm one time. Oh, I was bummed. I still haven't seen him. But there's so many gifs and he just makes dumb faces. And Jeff Goldblum, there's like, I wasn't like, I'm going to go viral with this or anything like that. But I was just like, what's funny? I almost did the Situation from Jersey Shore. A lot of funny gifs. But I was like, I don't want to be associated with tax fraud and all that. But I landed on Keanu because, I wanted to name my son Keanu and got vetoed. So this is my way of getting that in. But so in the movie, in The Matrix, he's like, you're the one. And, it's this debate like, no, I'm not. Yes, I am. He doesn't believe, then he does believe. And, he gets killed but he comes back because this whole thing, right? So his character arc. And then eventually in the end of the first movie, he sees the world differently, right? With the kind of binary code. And so, like I said, it took me about a year or so to get to settle on it, because I was like, if you can see charts and kind of see what Mark Cuban did, but in my own bubble, like what's my version of that? You're kind of the one, or you can see the world differently, put your money into stocks, put your money into whatever it might be. It could be pennies. And when everybody starts to see charts a different way and sees that their money really is a tool for them, because as a teacher, I'm waiting for my next check at the end of the next month. And there's literally nothing I can do, but there is. So that's why. That's probably the number one question I get asked.
In your story, it sounds like you kind of went from the start of your journey, like starting out with trading into options and like full blown, like, you know, being Keanu Trades within like a year and a half. Tell me about like, I guess how that learning curve was for you, and what struggles, if any, you quickly ran into, you know, after jumping into it.
You know, I think like everybody, I sat at 40 followers, 90 followers, and you don't care. And I was messaging and replying to big traders like Ripster and other people. And eventually they reply to you because your questions aren't, you know, so green and dumb. And just building relationships, you know, if one of these guys posts a play and you post TA to it, like a chart or a catalyst, like they might retweet you and it might go. And like I said, I wasn't trying to go viral or anything like that, but it would have been nice to have a couple hundred followers. That was it for me. And then I was trading or messaging my buddy, you know, our trades in the morning, just like an iMessage chat. And we started a Discord, just us, because then it wasn't pinging us at work. You know, we're not like kind of looking down on our phones. In Discord, you can just organize it, put the charts here, talk here. It's just really easy. And then that turned into Keanu Trades Discord because people were just saying, where can I follow your plays more and all that. So none of this would have happened if it wasn't for my buddy Bueller trading. I forgot to include in my journey that the only reason I looked at SPCE is because my buddy from high school named Ray, he does construction up in San Jose, California. And I know during high school, he went to the continuation school, like he wasn't at our graduation. And then all of a sudden he's posting on, you know, he's posting Robinhood game porn on Instagram, you know, $1,200, 500, whatever. And then he's posted like 5,000. And I was giving him like likes. I'm like, oh, this is cool. Whatever he's doing, who knows, right? But when I saw 5,000, I inboxed him. I was like, Bray, what the hell's going on here? And he's all, oh yeah, that's the 5th time I've done 5K. I'm like, what? I mean, I'm not even making 5K at the time, my salary. And so he told me about options, and he's like, dude, I've looked at a lot of different, you know, people online that help you. There's a lot of scams out there. Bueller is like the best one. I was like, all right. So I joined Bueller. He's like $30 a month, 25. He's still like 35 a month. It's cheap. I've been with Bueller ever since. I got the lifetime eventually. Once, you know, you have to vet everybody, make sure it's legit. Bueller sounds really young, but he's very serious about it. And just like you guys are young, I'm like, dang, more young internet guys. It's like, I don't know if this is a scam. Who knows, right? I'm just trying to learn. But Bueller taught me from zero to having a plan, having a system, looking at pre-market, things like that. Eventually in Bueller's Discord, you know, I'm posting plays in Maine, posting gains and stuff. And they're like, oh, he needs his own channel. And so Bueller let me into the Day Trades channel. And so I'm in there and I'm just posting my plays. And I just felt bad. You know, I don't want to bulldoze Bueller. So I stopped posting. I posted in Maine a couple times a week. But eventually just, you know, it became my own server and stuff just with the demand. I was like, all right. My buddy that I was texting my trades every day, I told him I'll do it if you run it. So he runs it. But as far as pitfalls, when I trade the same size every time, I do really well. You know, 2-4 contracts. If I'm like, dude, this bear flag is going to drop. And now I get 8, 10, 12 contracts. It doesn't drop that time. So oversizing for me is a pitfall that I can fall into. It feels like every time I oversize, it doesn't work. Yeah, you feel like, oh, the next time this pitcher pitches a fastball, I'm going to really swing hard. And guess what? It's a curveball.
Yeah. I think that everybody can relate to that a little bit. We talk about oversizing, sizing up too soon. The losses are one thing, of course, you know, you're going to end up losing more money. But when you size up and you've been having, for me, it typically comes when I've had, you know, a stretch of success and I'm trading really well. And then you look back at your P&L and you're like, oh, well, if only I had, you know, been trading with double the size, I would have made double the money. Well, we all know that that's not necessarily how it works, especially when you're winning a trade. If I'm in too heavy, I'm immediately worrying about, okay, I got to take profits here because, within being, I mean, I guess we'll use options as an example. If you're up, 5-10% on the play, that's the amount that you would typically be up if you're up, 20-25% on the trade. And so you're trimming too early. You're just not letting the play develop. And oversizing, I think, can get a lot of people in trouble. And it sounds counterintuitive, but sizing down and trading with size that you're comfortable with, where, you could step away from the screen and you're not shitting your pants and you're not sitting there having to watch every 5-minute candle and you feel like this is like a good rule I like to use. If I feel like I can't walk away from the computer and I'm like staring at the 5-minute chart and I'm almost like trying to will something to happen, I'm in too heavy. I should be able to just walk away, not have to worry about what's really going on, have my stop in, my take profit in. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I know I'm too heavy when I'm like, come on. Like, and like I have like all those emotions like that is a pretty clear-cut sign for me, because you can't do that every day. You can't do that every trade. If you're that emotionally invested in every trade, you get so burnt out so quickly. And I know that from personal experience, right? Like, you want to be able to trade in that zone, be able to trade relaxed, be able to just think about the process and then watch the profits kind of roll in, versus like trading shouldn't feel like this, you're going to war type thing where it's like you wake up and it's like, shit, like I got to trade today. Like, I'm so nervous. Like, you're probably just using too much size realistically. Easier said than done. Everybody wants to size up. Everybody wants to make more money. But you got to be honest with yourself. You got to know when you're prepared to take that step and when you're not. But I think, in general, you mentioned that being one of your pitfalls. I think that every trader deals with that. So a lot of people listening are going to be able to relate to that. So what are some of the things that you've done? I mean, sizing down is pretty obvious, but as far as like risk management and being able to sort of control those emotions, what's your mindset when it comes to that?
I think sizing the same every time is key. Just because a setup looks more quote A plus, like, oh, this flag looks even better, I'm going to size in more. I think that's a pitfall. And you have to like put on your wall and accept, if I would have held longer, I would have made more. Like, put that quote up. And if I would have had more like contracts, because a profitable trader is going to say this every single day: I could have held longer, I should have had more. And a losing trader is going to say the opposite: I sold too late and I held too long. So that's like, to me, something you just have to, it comes with the territory, and I almost every day I'm saying to my traders, when they're like, oh man, I should have held it one more level up. And I'm like, you're going to say that every single day if you're a profitable trader, every single day. And if you have a level at something, 390, 82 is a SPY level, let's just say, and you're like, oh, it hit 382, I'm a wizard. Like, it's so luck. Like those levels, it's a rectangle. It's like a spot. You don't know what's going to happen. And so if you sell the absolute top or buy the absolute bottom, it's luck. You hear people say like indicators are lagging, like RSI and all this, they're lagging. So I just set price action and you hear that. Well, levels are lagging too. They're based on the past. You're looking at SPY from yesterday, SPY from the last week, and now you have a level at a certain spot. That's all lagging. It's from the past. And doesn't matter how strong a level is, buyers and sellers are going to make new levels every single day. That's just the way it is. And I mean, look at Rihanna, top of the world. Her album just flopped, baby. Right?
I was like, where is he going?
Sold out.
I was like, where is he going with this?
So, I mean, I didn't predict that. I love Rihanna. I didn't predict Rihanna's album was going to dud and Taylor Swift was going to break Ticketmaster.
You won't hear any Rihanna slander from me on this podcast. You won't hear that.
Nah. She's going to come back stronger. Hey, what do traders do after a loss? They come back stronger. What's Rihanna's next album? It's going to be fire.
We gotta get Rihanna on the pod.
Oh,
we gotta get Rihanna on the podcast
to respond to this.
yeah. Keanu saying it flopped.
It's going to be a comeback album. I can't wait. Eminem's comeback album after his whatever bombed. That was dope.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
So yeah, you have to accept you are always going to say, I could have held longer. I should have bought more if you're a profitable trader. Period. Yeah. Period.
Somebody the other day asked me in our Discord, like I keep getting stopped out at break even, or, I'm like entering these trades and I get stopped and they run against me. And I was like, listen, because they're basically asking me like, how do I combat this? You got to learn real early on. Like when I look at the trades I take,
I mean, his statement, he's like, I'm happy for them and this and that.
I'll say I would like to think that he's genuinely happy for her.
Okay. So if A-Rod can do that, can you do that with your trades?
I could try my best.
Be more like A-Rod.
Be more like Alexander Rodriguez.
Be less like Rihanna and more like A-Rod.
Ooh, is that the title of this? Is that the title of the
episode 55?
Less Rihanna, more A-Rod. So I used to look back at trades. I used to stay up all night and just be like, oh my gosh, this candle in my head and all that. And you got to realize, if you look back and thought, if I would have done this perfectly, I would have made more money. Fine. But would you have done it perfectly? Like I was just saying, the levels can be a lot of luck. Okay. You have your levels and you set up, but you could have, a perfect setup and it can still fail. A perfect setup can still fail. And if you are going to be honest with yourself and think, I would have entered and exited that trade perfectly, you're lying to yourself, because we've all had perfect trades. And I'm like, oh my gosh, the top of that candle, then it wicked. Wow. But you cannot replicate that. You cannot replicate that. If you got it, great. It's hitting my supply area. I'm out. Like, let's say SPY 400, right? It rejected a few times pretty hard. I'm not waiting for 400. I'm getting out at 399, 95, 92. I'm not even going over 95. I'm just too scared. But are you really going to reject? I think it went to 400, 02. Oh, I could have held to 02. I got out at 98. Really? If you're going to obsess with that, you need to backtrack your OCD a little bit, because it's just not realistic, and you're going to lose so much money trying to get those OCD psych numbers, in my opinion.
I want to go back to Alejandro's point of like never being happy sort of with the trade, because I feel like here's a good example that happened to me this past week, right? So I took 2 different trades this past week. In one of the trades, I think I literally nailed the high. I was short and I nailed within like 50 cents high of day on futures, like from when I took the trade. So like it never went more than 50 cents higher than my entry after that, right? And I was thinking the entire day, like, wow, like that's such a sick entry, like so great. And then the next day or 2 days later, I entered another short trade and I lost. I got stopped out of the trade. The stop on my trade was to the tick. It was high a day. So I got stopped out, never went higher than that. Right. And the rest of the day, I'm sitting there thinking if I had my stop 25 cents higher, I wouldn't have got stopped out. Right. And it's like, there's no way that you can every time consistently have one without having the other. Right. Like you can't have that level of precision where, you think that you're so good that you can catch high a day, but at the same time, you're not going to get stopped at a high day. Like you said, sometimes these things just happen to be luck. And if you have a process that's repeatable that can put you in those positions, yeah, I did lose that trade. I lost it, like I said, within 25 cents of high a day. If you can have a system that continuously puts you in those situations, more often than not, you're going to wind up winning, right? And so that's the way that I look at it is when you have 100 different situations, you're not trying to pick a strategy that would make you green in all 100 situations. You're trying to pick a strategy that if you applied it 100 different times, sometimes it's going to lose. Sometimes when you apply it, you're going to get stopped at a high day. Sometimes when you apply it, you're going to catch high day, that type of thing, right? As long as you want it to be the best fit for that 100, not to win all 100 times, right? Because trying to make a strategy that's going to win all 100 times, you're going to drive yourself crazy. You just have to find something that's going to have the best possible fit for all 100 scenarios. Some of those are going to be losses, some of those are going to be wins. But after that, you want to have something that gives you better odds, right? Better odds than not over those 100 different iterations of the situation that you're looking at.
Totally agree. I just love the baseball analogies because the best players in Major League Baseball, they have 500 at bats. The top players have 30 to 40 home runs. One guy had 60. One guy. The next guy had like 45, I think, right? So that's only 20 more, at a 500 at bats. And how many singles, how many doubles, how many triples? So to bat 300 or a little bit more, I mean, that's a lot of singles. That's a lot of singles. And if you happen to get the sweet spot of the ball or sweet spot of your trade, maybe it gets in the, what's it called?
The gap.
When it goes to the wall. The gap, yeah. But you can't just sit there and try to get triples. Imagine if someone's like, what's your mentality? Oh, I just go for triples. Like, you're not going to last. It's just not it. So sometimes you're in a trade and you're like, okay, it's hitting my resistance. I'm looking at the chart. I'm about to exit and it flies through. God knows why. Volume comes in and they'll be like, oh, there was news. But you can't control that. So focus on what you can control and, find your 4, 5, 6 tickers that you know really well. That if I asked you right now, what did it close at yesterday? You can answer me within, 50 cents, 20 cents. And move forward with that. Move forward with the setups you like, baby.
Yeah, so let's talk more about your trading, your setups now, your system, whatever it is that you're doing day to day. So do you have like a basket of tickers that you're watching or what is it if I want to trade like Keanu, what is it that I'm doing pre-market, intraday, and at night to review?
So my boy Bueller has a pre-market stream I watch every morning, about 5:45 a.m., 6 a.m. it starts, and I watch that. And we look at, SpyQ, Apple, Microsoft, Tesla, usually one of the chips like NVIDIA or AMD. And then he'll throw in a Netflix or something, and I'm watching right with him. Sometimes, like I was looking at Peloton for a while because it was hitting the 10s and they were making a lot of changes with the company. I said, hey, let's look at Peloton. We looked at that together. And then you have to look at the sectors. Look at XLK, which is the technology sector. Technology sector. If XLK is flying and Tesla is not, you can capitalize on that divergence. Tesla can catch up, but what pattern is Tesla in? Let's say it's in a bear flag. And then if XLK looks like it's about to top over, now the Tesla bear flag is going and you're in it. Okay, so you have the sector of the stock you're looking at. So I always look at XLK and Tesla. Now, what if XLK is going and Tesla is in a bull flag and it hasn't lagged, like it hasn't caught up yet? So maybe I play it long and then it catches up with XLK. So those divergences are huge. I would say 90% of my trades now are SPX. I used to trade Tesla a ton, but since they're split, they only have like a 10 to 12 point range. so it's not really tickling my fancy as much. So yeah, that's what I do.
Keeping it simple.
Oh,
So
yeah,
with
Simple.
with
Simple,
SPX,
baby.
are you looking at like the 0 days, or are you like more time on your cons, or how do you
I
go
look
about
at
that?
0 days until about power hour, because I'm a teacher, right? And
Yep.
my students come in at 8:30 a.m.
Mhm.
So I'm usually done by then. And so if I look at something at lunchtime or later on, like I'm looking at next day, a lot of times, if I made good money, let's say I made $1,200, I don't mind throwing 200 into something in a day.
So I'm thinking in my head, like, is this guy on Spaces, like with his second graders in the background? You're in California, so 8:30 is 11. I'm like, what? But 8:30 is 11:30. So he trades the first 2 hours of the day, and then he goes to his day job as a teacher. Okay, that makes sense. Okay,
Makes sense.
Yeah, so I'll be really active on Spaces at the start of the day.
Yeah, because I've seen you on Spaces. I'm like, how does that work? That makes sense. So yeah.
Yeah, but if lunchtime hits or something, you might hear me chime in. But after the first 2 hours of the day, like Alejandro was saying before, like, what's your setup, right? What do you look for? And that helps me not overtrade.
Yeah, I was just about to say that's got to be the best part of your job. It's where it's like you literally can't trade after that 11:30. Like we always say in the Discord, like, if I realistically every day, if I'm like green by like 11:30, the probability of me taking a trade into the afternoon is so slim, especially now that like I understand that like my odds of making money during that like 12 to 2 lunchtime just really aren't great. And it's like for you really don't have a choice, because like we'll sit around and like we'll wind up like, chirp at each other, and then it's like, all right, fuck you, I'm gonna go make a trade. And it's like it's literally
someone
you're
ends
bored.
up getting bored.
Yeah, you get bored. And
so like I was saying before, the indicators too, when I'm like, what's RSI looking at? What's the Bollinger Band at? Hold on, let me see. Let me go to Tradie Ticks. And like once you start digging for more indicators that you should be in a trade, you shouldn't be in a trade. And like Bueller says, I hope nobody's taking shots every time I say Bueller, because they're going to be wasted. Like Bueller says, trades should feel effortless, period. You should be able to, like Alejandro said, those trades should feel effortless. It's all in the preparation for sure. And, have I gotten into, a spy swing and then gone about my day? Yes. We're over VWAP, we're over some key levels, we're over yesterday's high a day, over a bunch of stuff. I will roll into it, and then at lunch, check what I have. And I've been down 99%. I've been up 400%. But I try and have my day structure where I'm not looking at it till lunch, because I don't want to be owned by it. I really don't. And so, one time somebody explained any addiction like this as a funnel, and they're like, hey, if you like want to quit smoking or something like that, so you're at the skinny part of a funnel, right? Because you have to take a smoke break every however long. But when you like, let's say, are kicking your habit or don't smoke or whatever, you're at the big end of the funnel where you have choices. You don't have to smoke. Like, so for me with trading, if I can be like, I'm not checking this till lunch, and I set an alarm and I really don't, it's not owning me. It's not controlling me. And, we do a lot of Enneagram work in our Discord. I don't know if you guys have heard of the Enneagram. I know you're young. So the Enneagram is a personality test, but it's much more than that. It goes based off of your fears and motivations. So I encourage you guys to take that without Googling it, because I don't want to bias your results. But I'm an 8 on the Enneagram, and I believe in Greek, Enneagram means 8 types. That's what I read, I believe. And so there's 9 types. Did I say 8? I meant 9. There's 9 types. And so I'm an 8 on the Enneagram. And one of the main pieces of 8, something that drives me, is not wanting to be controlled ever. So I don't want those trades to control me, Hondo. I don't want to feel controlled at all. And so if I'm in a trade and I feel controlled, I get out, period.
That's a great one, man.
So Enneagram, for people who don't know, is a model of human psyche, which is principally understood and taught as a typology of 9 interconnected personality types. So yeah, that definitely sounds interesting. Definitely something I'll probably try out.
Oh, it's huge. This is what's going to happen. Diamond and Hondo, you're going to take it and you're going to be like, we are able to do the show and it's successful and we have 50 episodes and this and that because we're not both 8s. Like I guarantee you're both not 8s.
No, yeah, I mean, Hunter are definitely on probably opposite ends.
Now we definitely got to do this, dude.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, now I'm interested.
Look, we got Ryan.
He's a 4.
Yeah, Ryan just said he's a 4.
See, I know what he means when he says I'm a 4, but you guys don't know, and that's awesome because I wish, like, somebody that hasn't seen Game of Thrones, I'm like, oh my God, I wish I could go back and experience it for the first time. I wish I could go back and experience Enneagram and unpeel that onion layer for the first time. So definitely get excited about that and take that test. I have a link I'll send you guys, and it's really cool. One of you will get really into it, and one of you will be like, this is dumb. So we'll see who it is.
Who do you think will be the one that gets really into it? If you had
I think
guess.
Diamond. I think Diamond.
I had it up on Google instantly.
He had it up.
He's already looking at it.
I ripped it.
Have your mom take it, have people take it, and then you're going to be like nodding when you get their results because there's healthy and unhealthy versions of each type. And an unhealthy 8 in trading is going to not do well. Yeah. Probably unhealthy, any of them. But it's very fascinating. And so my goal with the whole Discord has been to have a marriage between your Enneagram type and your trading. And I haven't seen that anywhere. I haven't seen anyone do this. But so I don't have any roadmap for this. But it's like, how does your Enneagram, and when I say Enneagram, I'm saying how do your fears and motivations, okay? How do those drive your trading? Why do you trade? Why do you get into trades? Why do you stay into trades? Stuff like that.
So you mentioned like the addiction thing and letting trades control you. So for me, my mentality, I've made it more of like, if I don't have to be in the trade, I don't want to be in the trade. And what I mean by that is like, I have like some pretty strict looking setups, right? And I kind of know at this point exactly what I want to happen. And so in order to keep myself from trading just to trade, to like sort of fight that addiction, because I've been through that stage where, you know, you start making money and it gets really fun and you're just looking for every single opportunity. Over the long run, that's not going to work. In the market, the less you do, the more likely it is that you're able to make money. So my mentality is I am trying to avoid trading. I'm trying to avoid trading. I'm trying to think of all the reasons why I shouldn't be in a trade until it becomes so obvious that I have to be in this trade. And that's when I take it, because I know that when it becomes that obvious, that's when I'm going to have a high chance of actually making money. When I'm looking to take trades, I'm going to lose those more than I win. That's just the honest truth. So I'm like, every day, I'm coming into the day and I'm hoping I don't have to trade today. Not that I actually believe that, but I'm like, there's a better chance I don't trade today than I do trade today. The reason is because I am trying to create that extreme amount of discipline to where I only take the setups that I know I need to be taking, right? So this past week, and it was a funky week because we had Thanksgiving. We had the half day in the market on Friday. I only took one trade, and that one trade was on a perfect setup, which, as you mentioned, doesn't guarantee that it's going to work, but it did. And that was the only trade I took all week. And now I can look back and I'm like, okay, that was awesome that I made that one winning trade. But even better than that, I didn't trade, or I didn't take any other trades. I didn't trade on Monday. I didn't trade on Wednesday. I didn't trade on Friday. And so for me, that is what winning looks like. It's not only finding those winning trades. You're always going to find winning trades, but it doesn't matter if you're giving back your gains, trading other shitty stuff, right? So it's like, let me try to avoid trading until it becomes so obvious that I need to trade. And that has helped me a ton, because that addiction is so real. People don't realize it. Like people love trading, but at the same time, I think people fail to realize that like they might be addicted. It's like that gambler's mentality. It's like the market feels like a casino, right? And if you're not able to, get rid of that, you're going to be in so much trouble.
Absolutely. I mean, like I say, embrace JOMO, JOMO, joy of missing out. If you don't embrace JOMO,
yeah, that's great.
Luck. If
that's
you
great.
get,
I love that.
Oh, thanks, man. If you get into something, I turn into cheerleader mode. Instead of being like, shit, Diamond just made 132% of AMD. Is meta going? I got to get my 130. No, be his cheerleader and focus on that. And that keeps you out of jumping into stuff. But none of the spaces stuff would have happened without Zach Morris. Period. None of this would have happened without him. You know, I've been talking to him for years since I was on my personal Twitter before I changed it to the alias.
And you recently met up with him, right?
Yeah. He came out here, was that October? Yeah. It was the week of Halloween. Finally met him. He was like, hey, is LA nice? And I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? He's like, I've never been to Southern California before. I don't think he's been to California, period. And he's 38, I'm 39. So for whatever reason, he just hadn't got out here. He was like, yeah, come pick me up. I was like, all right. You know, just like awesome. An old friend in town who's just really cool. And like I said, we had been talking for years on social media and stuff. And, you know, his account has exploded from like 20,000 followers to 500,000 now. He's just like kind of on this other planet. Mm-hmm. But when we were talking about technical analysis and talking about different stocks and stuff, he texted me probably 3 weeks later or so and was like, because when we sat down, he's like, how's Bueller doing? I was like, he's good, you know? And he's like, I love his streams. I was like, oh, because there's a YouTube chat. It's like a private, you know, YouTube live. And we're talking in there. He's never been like, hey, I'm Zach Morris. I'm here. He's like, yeah, I've watched them. I was like, that was good to know. And then he texted me, like I said, about 3 weeks later or so. And he's like, hey, send me the stream. Like, I want to check it out, but I don't have the link or something. And I was like, oh, we're actually in Spaces today. We hopped onto Spaces on a Thursday, just the Keanu Trades like group with some of my mods were talking about their setups and stuff. And someone was like, hey, you guys should do this, you know, during the market. Cause this was, you know, after hours. And my boy Jordan, who's one of my, you know, 20-year-old savant traders was like, yeah, we'll do it at market open. A lot of times we're in the Discord every day for the past year. And I said, hey, Jordan, just like turn your phone on your computer. We're on both. Cause I don't want the people that don't have Twitter, which we do have people that don't have Twitter for whatever reason, to be left out. So Zach texts me at like 6:28 my time AM, send me the stream. Because Bueller is always in there for the first 3 hours of the day. I'm like, we're in Spaces. He got in and the rest is history. You know, if you have 500,000 followers really in your Spaces, yeah, it's my DMs are crazy. I bought a second phone. Like you said, what I say before, Hondo, I don't want to be controlled by it. So I have my second phone. I could put that away when I'm with my kids and, you know, not get those DMs and stuff. But it's definitely taken a life of its own. But, you know, if Zach didn't, I don't want to say green light it, but kind of put his blessing on it, it's, I don't know, maybe this ascent takes a year. So, yeah, it's been quite the ride and pretty fun. And you can't, just because Spaces is blowing up and we have 10,000 listeners a day and 3,000 live almost all day, doesn't mean I get to FOMO into trades and I'm invincible. So I have to stay humble and know that like wick can go against me. This can reject. Like I'm keeping the same sizing. I'm not invincible just because Zach thinks I'm cool. You know, like I have to stay humble, man. If I don't humble myself, like I will get humbled. So, but it's been pretty cool to have everybody, these listeners, see what we've been doing for the past year in our Discord. Because when Zach leaves or whatever, we still have a lot of people listening. That's because Jordan's talking and my other analyst, Mr. Phibbs and such. And if what they were saying wasn't good, then everybody would drop off when Zach leaves. So it's been really, what's the word? Validating. And it's been cool to get, dude, we've been getting, Stratton Oak has been in there too, giving his analysis and getting some amazing, like people are like, I didn't know how I was going to pay for Christmas this year. Thank you for the Home Depot leap, or not leap, but the overnight.
That's awesome.
Yeah, these are humbling, and people are like, you know, I was down to my last $1,000. I've been listening to you guys. Finally took my first trade a week in. Blah blah blah. Like just good stories, and I haven't gotten any negative. Like to be listening to that many people and not say you don't know what you're doing. I know Zach gets them every day. I mean his like following 500,000. It's ridiculous. I mean. One of the first things I asked him, I was like, how do you deal with that? And he's like, I just ignore it. So I don't want to show my face, man. I don't want someone to stop me on the street and be like, spy on Thursday, bro. You messed me up. Like, no, I just want to get my crunchy gordita, cheesy crunch thing from Taco Bell and come home, baby.
Amen.
Yeah, you guys are crushing it, man.
Thanks, man. I appreciate you listening.
Noah and I are going to have to jump on.
Oh, dude, come through.
Yeah, bro. Let's do that for sure.
Come through, man.
Go live on
for
Spaces,
sure.
do some trading.
Oh, man. Like I said, when Jordan was like, yeah, we'll do it in the morning, I was like, okay, cool. And I was thinking first 90 minutes or so, right? And I think we went to bell to bell. But it's been bell to bell every day, bell to bell, because when it slows down, people have questions, and it turns into like an open forum. And we have a WhatsApp group, so they're texting the whole time. What did Zach say? What did Jordan say? This and that. So it's taken a life of its own. Mr. Phibbs has his own fan club. He has his own WhatsApp chat. Like, they love this guy. He's in LA. He's a very soft-spoken, I think he's like 6'4", black dude. And we went to Top Golf, and he was golfing, and they're like, I love Mr. Phibbs. He has his own little fan club, man. It's amazing. But it's going good.
So for anybody looking to join the space and jump on, how can they find you on Twitter?
So I'm at Keanu Trades. It's just at and then Keanu Trades. And Jordan, which is, I believe his is Ace the Kid. Let me make sure here. Yeah, Ace the Kid KT. He puts the next spaces in his pinned tweet every day. So the one that we're in today, and then right when it ends, he puts in the next one so people can set those reminders and get those notifications. So Jordan had like 200 followers a week ago, and he has 7,000 right now, 6,800. So that's 1 week. And maybe we topped out here. Like, maybe no more listeners. Like, all good. We're there to trade together, and we weren't like, we'll do spaces because it'll go viral. Like, that's just been kind of fun on the side.
Yeah.
But yeah,
it's just fun to trade with people, man. It makes it way more enjoyable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and people on there with me, Zach says I'm puts here, and I'm thinking, no, dude, what? No. And he's like, all right, I cut my puts for 18%, 25% on same days, and I'm like, I'm buying this dip for calls, So it's not because we're all doing the same thing. That's not it at all, Yeah,
that's also the power of being able to bounce ideas off of each other. And then other people who are listening to you see that as well. And they're like, oh, well, these guys, it's like in our Discord, we have 7 different guys. It's like, oh, well, they all know what they're doing, but sometimes they're not on the same page. That's interesting. Maybe I don't have to be on the same page as them, right? It's not like not every good trader is thinking the same thing at the same time. And that's when you kind of realize that there's not one way to make money in the market. So I think what you guys are doing there is awesome, man. Awesome. And we appreciate you coming on.
Thanks, man. If I'm looking at a bear flag and I'm like, oh, this is going short. And then Mr. Phibbs comes in and it's like, this is on a big support that I have. I'm like, whoa. So it helps you not trade too in a big way. But yeah, come on, guys. I'll get you on a speaker and you can chime in or just listen for a little bit. It's been a fun little week here, man. I've had COVID for the last few days, but this has all kind of cheered me up and helped me get through it. Because the first time I had COVID was the worst physical pain of my life. That month was just awful. So better this time around, baby.
Nice, man. Yeah, but like I said, thank you for coming on. Thank you for telling your story, and sharing all this information with our listeners. We really do appreciate it, man.
Thank you guys. Hopefully I'll get episode 2, man. I know that's the true mark of a good guest.
Yeah, that's true. I'd love to have you back on, man, for sure.
All right, good. Thanks, man. Thanks, Hondo. Diamond, my boy. And Ryan, we have a connection, baby. Enneagram. Y'all can't even spell it right now. Diamond's about to do it. I'm going to send you guys a link.
I don't even know looked it up. I wouldn't even know how to spell that.
So it's Sunday morning. Market's not open. The market's not open. Let's do it.
Yeah, definitely take care of it. But yeah, again, thanks to Keanu Trades. Hopefully you feel better. And we'll see you guys next time.